Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Hey, it's going to be a short session because I did an hour. So I went into YouTube this morning and I did an hour live stream this morning to be able to give you all some content of the notes yesterday, because this is going to begin in about 15 minutes. So I already gave you, I went over yesterday's notes and stuff. So lots of things happening, lots of good stuff. Rhonda's on her way home. Her mom's 75th birthday party is today. So she's heading home this morning, and she'll be back probably tonight, maybe. So yeah, let me just get everybody in here. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Everybody's doing well. And yeah,
Good morning.
today will be a short live conversation, but I went and did a live. I did an hour on yesterday's, just all meat, all heavy content on the conversation and the things you may want to have some conversations with again as we go through the process. But again, good morning, everybody. Great to have you all here. I thought the event, the guy who said the time yesterday said the event was starting at 9 o'clock Eastern time, which means it's 8 o'clock my time. So I got up about 5:30 this morning and I did a live inside of the YouTube page. So if you go to SeanGMurphy.com, YouTube.com/mentor2, the number 2, mentor, you'll see the live I did this morning. I did an hour session because we're not going to be able to go too long here. Let me keep admitting everybody. So great to have everybody here. Biggest thing from yesterday, and I think it was an aha moment for me. You know how we talk about, well, let's not bring negative into it, law of attraction. But they took us through an exercise. It was probably a 40-minute exercise, closed eyes visualization, where they had you talk about, had you really dive into things you didn't like, the negative. But what they did was, which was, again, this is Tony Robbins, #1 in the world, right? Amazing, amazing, amazing content. What he did was he made you feel, that the way he walked you through the process is that he made you feel that this moment, that this instant in time was not where you wanted to be. How many of you have ever had something in your hands? You've had something in your hands and you were using it and it was taken away. Kind of like when we were little kids and somebody stole our I don't know, our Kermit the Frog doll. We really didn't want it, but it was what we wanted. So that's all we wanted. And it's all we focused on. We focused on the thing we couldn't have. Y'all get what I'm talking about? And so the process that he walked us through, which was, again, pretty amazing. He took you from here, from where you are, to the life you're living, the life you want to live, the 10 months, the 24 months, the 10-year goal. And he really got you into state. And this is what I love about having gone through this event. If anybody's been through a Tony Robbins event, type in the chat what event you've been to. Have you been to UPW? Because one of the things, because of his voice and the way his voice is starting to go, he can only go for one day, and then he's got to have 24 hours off. Because when they looked at his vocal cords a while back, they're paper thin. They should be thick like, piano wire, but they're paper thin, and nobody knows how he's still talking. So he has to go on some rests. But this process that he walked you through, and the guy who spoke yesterday, Joseph McClendon III, is a neuropsychologist, and so he was speaking on a lot of things. But when Tony walks you through this, what's it called? I don't even know if there's a page in here for the exercise, but it was, I don't even know what you call it. But the whole point is that he took you from where you are. Here's the point, is that he took you from here to where you wanted to go. And then he pulled you back just into this moment. And pulled you back just into this moment. When he pulled me back into this moment, I can only speak for me. Rhonda was here. She was doing it. But when we were both done, it was like, oh my gosh, that changes everything. But it was really a rewiring. It was truly a rewiring at a subconscious level. And so it was pretty amazing. And so I'll do my best to review that and walk us through something similar to that. But I got to tell you, so it was powerful. So I say that to say this. Where we are right now isn't where we want to be. And one of the things, so I did, for those of you that have recently joined us, go to the YouTube page, go to youtube.com/mentor, the number 2 mentor, and you'll see the Daily Awakening, episode 512. I did an hour this morning. I did an hour live this morning of going through 4 pages of yesterday's notes, 5 pages of the notes. So I spent an hour on that, just giving you the content, giving you some deeper understanding of it. So that content is available to you. I'd encourage you to go watch that. Why did I do that? Because I want to deliver value. That's one of the things that Tony continues to do, right? Is to over deliver. Whenever you're on, anytime anybody's watched him as part of a live event, he's scheduled for an hour, but he goes 2 hours, 3 hours. He does that so that one of the things that he keeps saying is that, and I'd encourage you to think about this for your audience. Even if it's a free event, when you guys do your no fee events, I wouldn't call them ever again a free event. For years, I've always called them a no fee event, right? Because they're paying for their time. They're paying with their time. But what I would encourage you to do is to think about the most precious thing they can, because they can make more money, but they can't make more time. They're giving you the most precious resource they have. And one of the things, and Tony has said this time and time and time again, and some of you probably remember this, is I won't betray your trust. When you guys show up here, there's content, there's value that gets added. So my goal with you is to not betray your trust. I've never said that. I love being a part of this. It elevates the language that I use, the meaning that I use when I have conversations with you. So I think that's pretty cool. But when you go out and do your lives, look at the content you're doing. Look at the content you're giving. Listen, if you've got to pull up some bullet points and you need to read off of some cards, right? Do that. Deliver great content, because when you deliver great content, they can begin to use it in their world. And so that's what I gave you this morning. Again, youtube.com/mentor to mentor. Or if you Google in the Google search bar, my name, Sean G. Murphy, Daily Awakening, you should see it there. I don't know why my Mozilla, my Firefox browser seems to be having an issue, but hopefully it's there. I recorded it, I ended it, and it said that it was storing it. So I don't know if it should all be there on that webpage. So that being said, what's the big thing you're going to do today? What's the big rock you're going to make sure you have in your bucket today? What's the big rock you're going to work on today? You know, one of the things, so real quick, I'll give you a snapshot of the video you'll see on YouTube. Right? So yesterday, right, was the power of momentum and creating an abundance mindset. In the introduction, again, I'm going to give you the basics, but I went into more detail in the YouTube video live this morning. I did. The ultimate success formula. You got a pen ready? Here you go. Know your outcome. Number one, the ultimate success formula. Number one, know your outcome. Clarity is power. Written goals. Now, written goals with very specific specificity. Say that 10 times fast. You know, when you plug into GPS, you plug in a specific address. You don't just plug in, you know, Plano, Texas. You would plug in my physical address, right? 6416 in the road I live on. And if you spell the name of the road wrong, you spell Berwyn Drive wrong, that's, you won't get here. So are your goals that specific? Is the destination that specific? Number two, know your reasons why. See, a lot of times we talk about our reasons why. Why do you want to do this? Well, the challenge that most people can't figure out their reasons why, just like when you were little and your mom said, why'd you do that? You didn't have an answer, is because you didn't know your reasons why. You didn't know your outcome, right? And then massive action. That's a big one. That's the one I fall short on a lot, massive action. So number one, know your outcome. Number two, know your reasons why. Number three, massive action. Number four, know what you're getting. Check in. How many of you check in along the way? How many of you, listen, at least while you're going, if you make a wrong turn on your GPS, it'll say rerouting. You say that. I don't think it says it anymore. It just gives you the new direction. And then number five, here's where we fall short. This is where a lot of us fall short. This is where a lot of my students fall short. Change your approach. Don't change your goal, change your approach. I've tried everything. You haven't tried anything. Have you tried to do this with eggs in your pocket? What are you talking about? Have you tried to go after your goal with eggs in your pocket? No. Then you haven't tried everything. I've tried a million things. Okay, list them. Well, I've tried a dozen things. List them. I've tried a couple of things, and those three things didn't work, so I gave up on it. Don't change your goal, change your approach. So number one, know your outcome. Clarity is power. Written goals with very detailed specificity. Number two, know your reasons why, not your excuses. Number three, take massive action. Number four, know what you're getting. That means check in. Know what you're getting from this. And number five, change your approach. Your memory file. Here are 4 words that'll activate your memory for your entire life, your entire series of events. How many of you have ever been to an event and you've loved it and the person sitting next to you was pissed off? They were absolutely just in. That's called perception. How you perceive is how your emotion is how your emotions see you. How you perceive things is how you see your emotions. And Tony said day before, the quality of your life, follow me on this one, this is huge. The quality of your life is equal to the quality of your emotions. Right? Talk about Sadhguru, misery or joy. The quality of your life is equal to the quality of your emotions. How many people do you know that run around ticked off, aggravated, agitated? So number one is perception. These are the 4 words that'll activate your memory for this entire event. They're talking about the UPW, but you can use this for anything. Number 2, physiology. Anything that moves on your body, get into action. Right now, just start clapping. Just start clapping. Move your arms, right? Just move. If you start to move, it changes your physiology. I got to tell you, a lot of people talk about rah, rah. I can promise you, the next events I do, there's going to be some movement, right? One of the things, and I'll have to put this up. I think I put it in Secret Sauce Academy, the slide from Dr. Joseph McClendon III. He actually found out there's one part of your body specifically, one specific part of your body that if you move it, it changes everything in your body. Just one part of your body, that part changes everything. And there's a slide. I'm pretty sure I threw it up into Secret Sauce Academy. If I didn't, I'll put it up there today. But that one part of your body, it's funny. It's funny what he calls it. So number 1, perception. Number 2, physiology. movement. Number 3, rapport, creating and finding something in common. But rapport is actually being able to create a relationship of commonality. Now, Tony went into a whole session, and I went into this in detail in the video on YouTube, so you may want to go watch this, about rapport, about how, the reason that people suck at rapport, the reason that, and that's, I know that's a strong word, the reason they suck at rapport is because they're using the same thing that they do when they make a presentation. People, when they want to build rapport, want to have a commonality. They want to have a common relationship with words before they go into feeling and emotion and mirroring, right? There's a thing called mirroring and matching, right? So if somebody kind of does this, you know, you're going to mirror and you're going to eventually do that. And then matching is if somebody, you know, so type in the chat, if you came across somebody who talks like this, come on, let's go, come on, let's go. If you had to decide where that person lived in the world, where might you think a person who speaks at this pace live? Type it in the chat. And if somebody talks a little bit slower and they're a little bit more deliberate in their conversation, where might you think they live? Right? So there's mirroring and then there's matching. The challenge is that nobody gets into mirroring and matching. And now I've done this because I've been in sales for 40 years. I've done mirroring, and so it's not uploaded yet. Okay. It was an hour long of good content, so I hope it gets there. If not, I kind of remember what I said, so I'll do it again later, but I'm not sure what happened to YouTube. Anyways, so okay, so it takes a while, but I finished it at 7:15. So an hour and 15 minutes, it should have been uploaded. But anyway, so mirroring and matching. The challenge is most people want to match. They want to have a word relationship. Do they use the same words? Do they have the same expression of dialogue before they actually dive into a relationship at an emotional level? You know why people suck at rapport? Because 7% are our words, right? If you've ever done public speaking or you've ever done any study in public speaking, they say 7% of your presentation are your words. Why do you think everybody knows Jim Rohn? The birds will get some. The birds. Right? Because there's a lot more than just the words. And too many people are 7%ers because they want to have a relationship, a rapport with their dialogue before they match or mirror anything else. So that's number 3. Number 4 is strategy. So the 4 things that'll help you remember any situation, any event is your perception of it, the way you move during it. How many of you can remember an argument where you sit there with your arms crossed? You remember it because that's not your normal state. You weren't in your peak state, but you were in a state that's memorable. And then the rapport you had with that person or that situation, and then the strategy. Strategy is creating a predetermined result. If you want to get up from where you are and move to a door that's in your room, there's a strategy, right? If there's a table in front of you, you will get up, step over it, walk around it, right? If you're being playful, you'll crawl under it. But there's a strategy you have, and strategy is creating a predetermined result. And too many of us are focusing on our strategy, right? We talked about it yesterday. Strategy versus the story versus the mindset. We need the mindset in place in order to build the story. So Tony took people through an exercise that's kind of like the 90-second exercise that I walk you through. And that 90-second exercise that I walk you through is tremendous emotion, but he talks about creating lasting results. How many of us have ever done something, implemented it, worked on it, and then we stopped doing it? How many people do we know that I'm quitting smoking? They quit smoking and they stopped smoking for 2 years, 2 months, 10 years, and then they got back on, right? People who are addicted. They stop, they do it, they go to AA, they go for a while, and some of them are 30 years, 40 years. Some of them don't make it to their first year and they don't get their white chip. Why? Because it's not lasting results. So he talked about lasting results, the power of beliefs. A belief is a feeling of certainty about what something means. A belief is a feeling of certainty about what something means. There's 3 beliefs for lasting success. I'll put my glasses on, read the chat. So, 3 beliefs for lasting success. Number 1.
John, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Can you repeat what you just said about belief? It's a feeling.
A belief is a feeling of certainty about what something means. Belief is a feeling of certainty of what something means. Right? If you talk religion, there's a certainty about what you believe that religion is, that your faith is, that your success is. And what we don't believe, we don't have certainty in. So here's 3 beliefs for lasting success. These are pretty powerful. So number 1, and again, I go into a little bit more detail in the video on YouTube. It must change now. It must change now. Number 2, I must change it now. I must change it now. And number 3, I can change it now. Right? My mentor would say to me often, we need to find people who are ready, willing, and able. You'll usually find 2 out of the 3. But if you don't find somebody with all 3, it's almost impossible. Ready, willing, and able. So it's kind of the same thing, but again, I love Tony's certainty in his description of this. And that's why he's, some of you may know this, he charges $1 million a year for coaching. Yep. So I must change now. I must change it now, and I can change it now. Why don't most people think they can change it? Because they're looking to make the change from looking in the past. They're looking in the past. Well, I've never been able to do it before. I don't know if I could do it now. Again, this is addiction to approval. This is looking at our past. This is looking at the history of what we've been able to change. Well, this is why we talk about question number 2. Can I make you feel a little bit uncomfortable? You're going to be in an uncomfortable state. You're going to go after something you've never had. You're going to have to do something you've never done. You're going to feel a way you've never felt. And therefore, that's the perfect recipe for disaster. But when you start to get clarity, it's amazing what changes. And remember, you've all heard this, right? Remember, the past does not equal the future. Here's the caveat, unless you live there. The past does not equal the future unless you live there. Realize the power that we now have when we go to have a conversation with somebody. When they're not ready to make a decision, you can pretty much guarantee they're living in the past. How do you bring them to the present? Sometimes we skip the present with them and we take them right to the future. Would you like to make $5,000 a month? Hell, they can't even get out of get their mindset out of being $2,000 a month in debt. Especially with fear being the big thing right now, right? So this will be the last thing that I gotta jump. 3 steps to lasting change: neuroassociative conditioning. Neuroassociative conditioning. What would it be like to be in charge of your life, or a behavior, or an emotion, or a feeling? So the 3 steps to lasting change, and we'll go into these in more detail. And again, I went into it a little bit in the video. Number 1, get leverage. Right? The reason some of you get your butt out of bed is because you got some bills to pay. That's called leverage. Or your mom or dad. You don't want to have to deal with the wrath of mom or dad or your spouse. You get your butt out of bed. Ugh, I don't want to get out of bed. But if I don't, I got to listen to that BS. And that's not belief system what I'm talking about. So number 1, get leverage. Getting them to change is a total must. Get a person to believe it's a must, not a wish. And so here's how you do this. All right, so I may only get to the number 1 of this one because I want to make sure you get this. Failure to change, you've got to get people to believe that failure to change equals massive, immediate, unbearable levels of pain. Right? When I throw you off the building, when I throw your loved one off the building at 90 seconds, you're like, son of a, listen, you cut that crap out. I'm coming for you. I'll find where you live. You do that to somebody I love. Right? That's massive, unbearable levels of pain. So you link it to that. If anybody's heard Tony Robbins' story about getting the one guy to quit smoking, it's a pretty powerful story. But you've got to link it. Now, here's the challenge. Once you change that story, once you link it to the massive, unbearable levels of pain, and they don't want that, you now have to fill it, right? Because I don't want that. I don't want the pain. This is what causes people to fall back into it. We don't do the next step. Massive, extraordinary levels, immediate levels of pleasure. It's rare that we give somebody. This is why I check in. This is why I'll ask the question. See, I didn't use this language, but this is why I'll check in with you and say, so you know what to do next. Yes. What do you want to do next? Well, I want to do this. Great. If you did that, how would you feel? I'd feel great. If you didn't do that, how would you feel? I wouldn't feel good. Which do you want? I'd want to do that. Well, see, here's where I failed. I didn't take it to the next level. If you did it, how would you feel? What would be the joy? If you didn't do it, what would be the failure? How miserable would you feel? How incredibly weak would you feel? How incredibly small would you feel? I didn't link it to unbearable, massive, unbearable levels of pain. Why? Because I was being a nice guy. Guess what? No more nice guy. I've tiptoed around it. Yet, and some of you think I've really stepped into it. But here's why I probably didn't step into it all the way, is because I didn't do the second part. The massive, extraordinary, immediate, pleasurable moments. Because again, we all live in that teeter-totter. The law of opposites says that if I create the massive, unbearable levels of pain, what does the immediate levels of joy feel like, look like? And too many of us have been in that lukewarm area. No more lukewarm. Number 2, interrupt and annihilate. See, he uses such strong words. Annihilate limiting patterns. And number 3, create a new empowering pattern and reinforce it until it's habit. See, it doesn't take 21 days to form a habit. It takes 21 days to reinforce it.
The 1, 2, 3. Can you repeat that really quickly? I lost you.
So number 1, get leverage. Number 2, interrupt and annihilate the limiting pattern. And number 3, create a new empowering pattern and reinforce it until it's habit. Those are the 3 things. You might have been drawing number 2 or number 3 as I was talking about the other one. So number 1, create leverage. We got to get leverage over the idea, over the concept, over the feeling. Number 2, interrupt and annihilate that limiting pattern. And number 3, create a new and empowering pattern and reinforce it until it's habit. You need them to get to a threshold of maximum decision-making and decision-making clarity. You need to get them to a threshold of maximum decision-making clarity. Like, there's no choice. It's freaking decision. It's done. It's over. I don't even have to think about it. You do it one time and you're dead. I ain't never going to do that. And then can you learn to use the tools you already have in a new way? So that's that page. All right. I'm going to end it here. No, it actually, Jessica, it takes a year to enforce it. It takes a year really to change it. That 90 days is something we come out of network marketing. And again, this is that I've known for a long time. If 90-day plans worked, we'd all be millionaires. We've all been on 90 days. The challenge is that we've never really made that massive exchange, right? You've started to do some stuff, your sticky notes. It's going to take you a year to make that a habit. I promise you. Because there's going to be days you don't want to do it. There's going to be an excuse when you don't want to go do the video. You're just going to go, well, I was traveling. Listen, if this is so important, you'll get it done. You will. There are no more excuses as it relates to that, because you can't let your audience down. I did this for 30 minutes because now the event's starting. I'm going to go jump into the event. I did an hour on YouTube. Hopefully it uploaded. Murphy's Law may or may not. All right, I'll do it again. I'll go do an hour tonight and make sure it gets uploaded, but I want to give you the content. So I love y'all. I appreciate y'all.
Love you so much. This is the shortest call ever.
I know, it's crazy, right? Lots of content, but it's like 30 minutes. Wait a minute. He just cleared his throat.
Yeah, I know. Right? I'm like, wait, that's it, Sean?
Welcome to your first short call, Latoya.
Oh yeah, today my
That's
yeah,
right.
today my first day. I almost forgot. I
Thank
feel like
you,
I'm part of
Sean.
family already.
All right, y'all.
All
Please.
right, enjoy.
I love you tons. I'm your head misfit. I'll see y'all.
At the next
The
event.
next
Have
event.
fun. Enjoy.
Bye.
Have fun,
Saturday.
Sean. Have a blessed day.
All right.
All right.
I'll bring you some great notes. Bye for now.
Okay,
Thanks.
bye-bye.